Welcome to Module 12, where we're back in Assist Job Seeker, and we're going to go over the action menu. So let's say you already ran a search, particularly for a job seeker. So let's say we're looking for one particular job seeker. Once their information has displayed here, you can always check the box next to their name and then do a particular action here. We're going to go through each of these actions listed here. First one we already used earlier. This is the Access Job Seeker account. That's where you can go into their account. You can update their resume. You can run job searches, use the Explorer module. You can update their username and password, all those things. Next, you can add a follow-up to somebody. This is kind of your catch-all activity. If you hit go, it'll make you put a note in. When you hit save, it's going to add a follow-up to this particular record. All that does, it will put a follow-up issue on that record. And you see it requires follow-up now. So if that's somebody you need to do a follow-up at a later date, that's how you would add the follow-up to this record. Now, I'll show you how you can actually resolve that particular follow-up issue. So we're going to skip to the bottom there. If you hit mark as resolved and hit go, it will let you resolve both the follow-up that you did or any other issue. So for example, this one has posted a poor quality resume. Well, we were doing a test, so we weren't really going in and putting as much as we could. So I'm going to mark those complete. And of course, you'd want to put a more detailed note here about what you did to follow up with them, what the results of the follow-up were, what you did to help them get a better resume out there. Then you hit save. That's going to put another note on their record, and it's also going to resolve both of the issues, taking them out of the dashboard as well. So that resolved the issues. Next, you can actually add a job seeker to a list. So you can create lists of job seekers in Assist, which then you can manage up here in the Manage Lists. So once you've created a list, you can then manage those lists, and that's also where you can search and use those lists. Now, there is a messaging piece as well, but we're not going to go into the list and messaging as much because we have taken the reporting functionality out of Focus Assist. It was not working properly and not updating on a regular basis, so we did have to remove it. The ad hoc reporting was not functioning correctly, so the lists and messages may also not have certain criteria assigned to the job seekers because they're not being updated properly. So the messaging and the list functionality is not recommended to be used here in Assist. So we will not be going over those functions. However, you can use the list just to pull up a list so that you can call each of the people on the list. So over in your list, when you're managing them, you'll see a list of all their phone numbers. That can be useful if you need to send out, if you need to contact everybody in a list. So that's one way it could be useful. Now, the email functionality in here works fine, so you will be able to do that to contact a particular job seeker or to email more than one job seeker at the same time. So once you have them, you can then email all of them. But actually searching for them and using that in the send messages may not be as accurate. Add a note or reminder. When you click go, it'll let you add a note, or you can change a reminder for somebody. And you can actually get the history of the notes and reminders will be listed here as well. You can only do that for one record at a time because it does show the history of each particular job seeker. Now, the assign activity service, you can do that with multiple records. So like I showed you before, you can put up to 20 socials, 20 Key Suite IDs, and 20 Focus IDs. So technically you could have up to 60 search results at one time from that. If you have a large class, you may have all their socials and Key Suite IDs. You could run that search, select all, hit assign activity. The activities are listed by category. You want to find the one that you need. So that'll take a little getting used to which category each activity is in. So for example, if you had a workshop or orientation, you could go in here. Let's say they went to a trade orientation. You could hit save. It's going to add that activity to the record. To view that activity, you'd go back into the job seeker profile page that we went over earlier. And you'd go to the activity log, and it's going to show that the staff put that activity in right now. Next, you got change job seeker social. This one in particular, this test account, I didn't actually put a social in, but I can show you that you can actually add the social in later. So let's say I did find out the job seeker social at a later date when I was working with them, and I found that it wasn't already in the system. We could add it to their records so that future searches that could be found by social instead. This does have to be a social that's not on any other record. I just put a random string of numbers in here. Hit save. That one did not match any existing social. So now when I go in and change it, see, it'll show the current one, and I could change it to a different one, as long as that social is not already on somebody else's account. Next, you can assign a job seeker to a staff. Now, any staff can work with any job seeker. So all this really does is it kind of puts them in a pseudo list so that then I could find all job seekers handled by a particular staff up here at the top. I could put my name in, or I could put in somebody else's name, and I'd be able to find all the job seekers that have been assigned to that particular staff. So that's one thing you could do, is assign those job seekers to a particular staff, especially if they're working with one particular staff on a regular basis. That'd be really the only reason to use that, because you don't have to be assigned to a job seeker in order to work with them. So really it doesn't actually have any reporting impact or anything like that. It's still going to track everything by activities that are done with a person. Next, we've got block and unblock. Only certain staff have access to do this. It's usually only at the Kentucky Career Center support level. So you shouldn't see this one on a regular basis, or you won't see this one when you're logged in. If you have reason to block somebody, you would need to contact KCC support so that we can investigate it further. If they're misusing the system, that'd be really the only reason we'd have to block somebody from using the system. It has not happened as long as I can remember, but we have the ability to do so if somebody misuses the system or is only using the system for what it's not intended for. Next, you got email job seekers. So if you did have a list of job seekers, you could go in, check all their boxes next to their name, hit email, and it'll let you put a subject line and a message. You can even send a copy of it to yourself as well. This will be sent from the KCC support email, so make sure you always put how you can be contacted in your message. Otherwise, they're going to email back to us, and we're going to have no idea what they're talking about at Kentucky Career Center support. So always put your contact information at the bottom of the email or even the top of the email, just to let them know how they can reach you if they have any questions. Next, you got find job for job seeker. Now you can do that within a job seeker's record, like I showed you just a few modules ago. You can go into their record and you can run job searches from there. However, you can also do it from inside Assist, so you don't have to go into a new window. So that is another option there. And lastly, we got inactivate, reactivate. If somebody has found a job, they don't want to receive emails anymore, you can inactivate their account and they'll no longer receive emails. They'll no longer show up in searches that employers run. So that is one thing you can do. You can also reactivate their account. However, it's going to ask them to reactivate when they go to log in the next time. So you don't have to use the reactivate feature because you can help them log in, and then once they log in, a reactivation questionnaire pops up automatically, and we'll walk them through that process. So that's the action menu. Those are all the different things you can do on job seeker records. In the next module, we're actually going to go into the approval queue for referrals and show you how that works.